Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Rob Slater. We've just done a 4-night round trip on Cunard's Queen Victoria from Southampton to Amsterdam. This is what we saw on the voyage. Now, I always book assistance for my wife. She can walk slowly, but quite often the boarding process can be really quite laborious, so I book a wheelchair for her. So, as we entered the building, I said to the terminal staff that I had booked assistance. The porter found us a wheelchair literally straight away, took us down through the boarding process and onto the ship. I have never got on board a ship so fast. Even allowing for the fact that they had to print a second boarding pass, here's me trying to be environmentally friendly and print on both sides. Apparently they need 2 separate pages, go figure. So from entering the cruise terminal to opening the door of our stateroom took less than 20 minutes. Like I said, never been so quick. So let's have a quick tour of the stateroom. Now, this is number 4025. It's just a standard balcony cabin. Really quite far forward, almost over the bows. But this didn't matter at all. Even though we had a bit of a lumpy sea on the way back, it was very, very smooth, hardly moved at all. Now this is just a standard configuration. King size bed, small desk, 2-seater settee with a coffee table, tea and coffee making facilities with a fridge underneath. This cabin has a nice sized balcony, which meant in fact we could have the loungers fully extended side by side. It is a bit overlooked, but that's only an issue if you really want to hang over the balcony half naked. The only downside for me was that it's a solid balcony rather than glazed, which meant that if you're sitting on the lounges you couldn't see the sea, but that's pretty minor, isn't it? One minor irritation was that the door is hinged rather than sliding, which meant you can't just have it a little bit ajar. Now, that's not a problem on this particular cruise, but certainly in warmer climates I like to have some fresh air, particularly at night. On checking the fridge, we were delighted to find a small bottle of fizz with a couple of chilled glasses. Now that's the way to start your holiday. So a very quick tour of the bathroom. It's obviously small and compact. 2 things I noticed straight away. There were face flannels provided. Now, this is a very minor thing, but this is something which is very noticeable by their absence on other cruises. The other thing was Penhaligon toiletries. Now, these were by the hand basin as well as in the shower. Interestingly, there's a card with the toiletries explaining that Cunard would like you to leave the toiletries behind so that they can refill the bottles. This is obviously part of their contribution to reducing single-use plastics. One thing to note was the shower. Oh, it was glorious. It wasn't a rainfall shower or anything like that, but it was a really powerful shower, great for getting you refreshed in a hurry. So looking at the wardrobe and storage, there's plenty of space here to hang shirts, skirts and dresses, a smaller shelved area for smaller items, and then you have the safe of course. And then both bedside cabinets have 3 good sized drawers. Staying with the stateroom, we were very surprised on our return from dinner in the evening to see that the steward had been round and had refreshed the cabin. Now, I know from comments on here and other cruise review channels that many people just don't see the need to have the nightly turn down or refresh. Okay, I agree it's not necessary, but it is, to me, it's a nice touch. This is all part of the overall cruise experience that differentiates this from other lines. So, Cunard's Queen Victoria was built in 2007 and had a major refit in 2017. As with any ship that spends so much time on the water, it's inevitable that rust patches will appear, but to be honest they were few and far between, and the maintenance crews were often seen just touching up the paintwork. One evening we returned from dinner to find our aircon unit had suddenly got very loud. Quick call to the purser's office, they had an engineer with us in less than 5 minutes. A couple of baffles inserted and the job done. They then called next morning to ask if the work had been done to our satisfaction. Obviously we said yes, thank you very much for your help. The interior of the Queen Victoria is in excellent condition, very little sign of wear. During their daily broadcasts, the officer of the watch referred to the ship as the elegant Victoria, and it really is. And like a sister ship, the Queen Elizabeth, well, it exudes charm from bygone era, lots of Art Deco touches throughout, and well, that staircase, is that a statement or what? On all these staircases and in the lift lobbies there are hints of the bygone age of glamour cruising, with photos of Hollywood royalty all around. And the central lobby with its multitude of timber staircases even had a string quartet welcoming people on board. Very nice too. So looking at the library, well, this is on 2 levels and it's really very well stocked. Good selection of books, from reference books through contemporary crime writers right through to the classics. And so to the bars. Well, there are lots of bars throughout the ship, some in public areas, some alongside the public areas, others a bit more secluded. For no particular reason, we ended up spending most of our sort of drinking, relaxing time in the chart room, the Winter Gardens and the Commodore Club. Chart room and the Winter Gardens, they're a great place for people watching, while the Commodore Club gives great views of the surrounding scenery, including the transit through the locks into Amsterdam. On the first evening in the Commodore Club, there's a pianist providing some background music, and he occasionally sang as well. In the film Singing in the Rain, there's a wonderful scene where one of the actresses is struggling with this newfangled sound thing. So the microphone is sewn into her dress, which means that as she turns her head to look at the other actors, her voice comes in strong and then fades away and then comes back as she comes through. The singer was doing something similar. As he looked straight ahead and singing into the mic, it was fine. But as soon as he turned his head away to look at the audience, his voice just faded away and then came back again, and sorry, it just made me smile. Moving on to the food. We ate in 3 of the restaurants: the Lido buffet for breakfast and lunch, Britannia restaurant, otherwise known as the MDR, and I booked at the steakhouse at the Veranda one evening, one of the speciality restaurants. Breakfast and lunch at the Lido were really very good. Apart from the last morning when we had to wait all of 5 minutes, there was always plenty of seating. Good selection of food that caters to all tastes, and it was really good quality. My wife likes her fresh fruit for breakfast, so she was a happy teddy, as the various types of melon accompanied by pineapple and whatever else was all nicely ripe. There was an omelette station cooking fresh omelettes with your choice and filling. Personally, I prefer a cooked breakfast, so wide selection there, and mine was very nice. As I previously mentioned, my wife walks with a stick, so she finds it really very difficult to carry a plate or a bowl. So in the absence of trays now, we've got used to getting hers first, then I carry it to the table, whereupon I return to the buffet to get mine. Several occasions here we were approached very quickly by the wait staff asking if we needed assistance. All very, very helpful. Lunch was equally tasty, with another wide selection of hot and cold foods and a good range of salad. One very pleasant surprise was the stir fry, which was cooked almost to order in front of you. Again, very, very tasty. Food in the MDR, oh, it was superb. Beautifully presented, a good selection and very well cooked. For me, the climax of the food in the MDR was roast beef. When he took my order, the waiter asked how I'd like it cooked. I like my meat rare, and I was delighted when a little while later rare roast beef appeared in front of me. It was delicious, and I really could have eaten it twice. We booked one night in the speciality restaurant, the Steakhouse at the Veranda. This was pre-booked before we sailed, and actually I made a mistake. I thought it was Saturday night was the formal night, when in fact it was Sunday when I booked the steakhouse. Not that it mattered, but it would have been nice if we were out there mixing with the suited and booted. Now, this is a restaurant where they bring along a selection of steaks, telling you how this cow was fed, how long it's been aged, probably what it slept on and what its name was, and then you get to choose. Then they bring you a selection of knives to cut it with. Would sir like bone handle? Would sir like china handle? Would sir like wooden handle? We have knives with handles for men, have knives and handles for women. I don't care. As it turned out, my fillet steak was so tender I could cut it with a spoon. Our waiter Paolo, lovely, lovely guy. Now, whether it was an actor or not, I don't care, but he really played to the crowd, obviously enjoys his work, and he made the evening very enjoyable. Table behind us had rum barber for dessert. Now, Paolo here was in his element as he extravagantly explained the different rums to the other dinner guest, and then with a flourish sliced open the cake and poured in the rum. He was loving it. So 4 nights on the Queen Victoria is definitely not enough, but from the moment we boarded it was a relaxing experience, and that relaxing experience continued right through disembarkation. Luggage was collected at 11, which meant we could go out smartly dressed, have a few drinks, and then finish packing without having to worry about taking our smart evening clothes with us in the morning. Now, Cunard now have a system that differs from other cruise lines when it comes to collecting your luggage from the dock. They gave us new luggage tags, which in our case were coloured purple with a number 3 on it. As previously mentioned, I booked assistance for my wife. Now, our disembarkation time was 9 o'clock. We had to be in the card room at 8:45. We arrived just after 8:30, collected by the porters, taken off the ship, down to pick up the luggage, which was in small, easy to sort out, colour-coded trunches, and we were in our car by 9 o'clock. Phenomenal. On previous cruises, embarkation and disembarkation have been utterly shambolic, so I did wonder if the smoothness of this process was due to reduced numbers. However, I was informed by the purser's office that the ship was fully booked, so obviously this is a difference in organisation. Whatever it is, it works. Queen Victoria is a lovely, lovely ship. All the crew were extremely friendly and very, very helpful, so we were very sad to get off. So, $64,000 question, will we do it again? Answer, in a heartbeat. This was a thoroughly enjoyable 5 days, and we're now counting down the days until we board Queen Anne. So, if you get the chance to sail on the Queen Victoria, grab it. You'll enjoy yourself. Thanks for watching. Any comments, leave them below. See you in the next one.